Good afternoon, everyone. I thank iDAC as well as especially Saurabh sir for giving this opportunity to speak over here. Though I was prepared to be in a panel session on environment and facade. First of all, we all need to understand why we are creating facade. That the first question comes in my mind. Okay, why we should create facade? So, is it for the betterment of the environment or is it for the look of the building? That's the first question. If it is for the look of the building, you can design X, Y, Z, whatever you want. But if you're looking for environment, then it needs to have lot of different environmental feature, facets included in it. So one of the main thing is about energy. We talk about energy saving, daylight, creating indoor air environment. So how do we create all those things? So the first thing comes in when one of the questions has been given, if I'm designing an improper facade design, then what happens? If I'm talking about environment point of view, there are few facets, environmental terms that I can bring in is like, nobody talks about the disaster management. If I do a improper glass facades, what happens during an earthquake when all the glass may fell off? What happens to that? What could be the impact it could take place? Nobody talks about that. That is another environmental thing. Another thing comes in the feature, it's called bird hits. Nobody talks about that because birds which are flying, they'll see a glass, they can smash into it. Nobody talks about that. The architects never talks about that. And these are the features one needs to understand while designing and while facilitating. Okay. And these are the concepts which are upcoming. In our high-rise, all these concepts of bird hits, how to create facades, the glass facades I'm talking about, in a betterment to have lesser energy into the system. Now, how do I create lesser energy into the system? Is that, can I have daylights? The best example we saw today was like how our Parliament has been designed. The Parliament, the basements, the daylights have been created. In Mumbai, we have so many basements. I have walked in so many high-rise projects. Every project has basements for parking and all. Whereas we're talking about daylight being created into those systems. Daylight also needed again for same thing, again for my commercial areas. We are not creating those daylights, we are not using the natural daylight which has been or natural solar thing which is available to us in India. So we are not using that. So we need to have design facets which can take in my daylights and all other things. The next thing was about materials. We have a lot of talk about materials. Nowadays you Google it, you'll find out hundreds of materials available. From glasses, from the best possible ways. If you're going from green building, yes, the green building guideline itself talks about XYZ materials. Now, which material to be used is up to the developers. As an architect, as an environmentalist, we can only suggest, but the developers has to select and has to select their material depending upon their budget and the costing. The next thing comes in the regulation. What regulation says? The regulation, as per green building, it talks about the facade, the glass facade, maximum of 40% can be used. Now, again, that's a challenge a lot of architects face. How do I design that? Within 40%, how do I put my project into it? Now, that's a challenge one needs to take into, and that's one needs to work out. And there are a lot of projects which is happening, even it looks like full glass facades building, but it do have a calculation which says the glass is less than 40%. The best example which I worked on was the Ahuja Tower, which has now recently been completed at Pravadevi. Okay, so again, the calculation, how do you design, how do you get into the facets, and the another facet which we were all talking about was about the maintenance. Commercial building will be maintained, residential owned. Then what's the point going with big high-end facades designs. Now that is another thing, ki how developer create a niche of maintaining the even a building which was not supposed to be looked to be a facades oriented building, but it ended up to be designed in that fashion. So we need to create corpus funds, and that is the environmental nowadays the environmental committee, the environmental clearance committee always talks about creating that environmental fund so that your project or the building is taken care on a longer duration period. So these are some things needs to be looked into. If you do shadow analysis now, these are the concepts which has now came in the market. When I started my firm, say 7 years back, when I used to talk about shadow analysis, wind analysis, all architects used to laugh at me कि वो क्या होता है? Shadow analysis मतलब क्या तुम क्या sun को छुपा दोगे? Fine. But now, lot of developers are first looking into those shadow, wind. I'm talking about the big end developers. Then they're integrating their project or integrating these environmental facets into their project, then going ahead with design. So now the things are changing, things are developing, and that is where architects, environmentalists, and the developers are now going in hand along with the MEPs. So this is something which is needed, and in terms about the materials, hazards, there are a lot of things, and this is still upcoming. The policies, I'll say, in terms of facade is still not developed. In terms of indoor air quality, yes, the policy is being framed by the government of India, which will be out very soon. We have worked on that indoor air quality policy, so we know what level it is coming up. And again, it will throw up a challenge to all the architects. How do I maintain those indoor air quality facades? Lastly, before I finish, I wanted to give some of my case studies which I worked on. As a part of EPRI, we do lot of analysis, assessment of indoor air. And when we did some of the assessment of a very high-end company, and it was very worst to see even the duct system which was being maintained to have a mechanical ventilation going. No, it was not maintained properly. We had huge amount of bacterial count. So is me or all the staff over there is breathing that? So that is where one need to look into what sort of quality policies you're framing for internally for maintaining all your stuff. It is easy to create and then run away, but maintenance becomes a challenge and then becomes a difficult headache. And the same way, the daylights which we do lot of modelings, energy modeling, we can rotate the building, do this, don't have your facades on the southern, have everything on the northern facade. It is all known. But still, we can see a lot of glass buildings which created four-way structures again. Now that's the challenge. That's the facets. We talked about, in the previous session, we also spoke about the same way we cannot create the plantation on the side wall. It can be created. Okay, there are case studies available, and there are plants which is available which can grow on the side of the wall. It may not be on a glass window, but definitely I can create it for my residential projects. Chhajjas need to be used. Okay, we did one research with Rachna Sansar that we are working on. We created the Chhajjas areas. Can those Chhajjas areas be used for solar panels? Yes, it can. But when we proposed it to a very well-known design architect, they says, "अरे नहीं यार, उससे करने से मेरा project बहुत घटिया दिखेगा." Now we need to evolve, So that can be used, but okay, that can be designed in such a way that we can hide that green panels up. It can look into such a way that from the naked eye from outside, nobody will come to know there is a panel. It can be created, and that is how the things needs to move further. Facade, yes, we need artistic look, because otherwise you don't feel like looking at a building. Okay, artistic look is needed. Along with it, sustainability, the main important aspects of environment sustainability needs to be brought in. So that's something I wanted to convey. Though I was supposed to be a panel, but I wanted to talk on this, and I thank Saurav sir for giving me this opportunity over here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys.